Do you find it difficult to be positive? Maybe you're surrounded by people that just aren't that positive and they're dragging you down a bit. Well, whether you're in sales, whether you're a business owner, business professional, having a positive outlook, a positive attitude can have a significant impact on our ability to perform, to sell, and really to be successful in business. What I want to share with you today in this video is the 5 traits that I've noticed top performers have when it comes to being and remaining positive despite what's happening around them. So make sure you watch this entire video because all 5 of these go hand in hand, helping you to be a positive influence and a positive person. Hey, make sure you click that subscribe button so you can be notified each and every time I release a video, which is usually every Tuesday. And if you click the bell, you actually be notified when it comes out and any updates that happen, which periodically can occur, so that you can stay up to date on all of these videos and all these tips and strategies to help you be successful in sales and in business. Hi, I'm Shawn Casemore. I've been selling since I was 11, and let me tell you, that was a little while ago. But more importantly, I've been studying the habits of top sales performers for nearly 20 years. So what I'm going to share with you today is not only strategies that I've used and continue to use today, but I've helped others deploy themselves in order to be highly successful and most importantly, to be positive. All right. Let me just be upfront about this. Every one of us, myself included, have days where it's sometimes a little bit difficult to be positive, to have a positive personality. But what I've learned, what I apply each and every day are specific things that ensure that regardless of what's happening around me, I've got that positivity level topped up such that I can remain positive despite what's happening. That's what we're going to do here for you. And again, I've brought along my trusty flip chart here to help us as we go forth. So let's start with point number 1. Fake it. Now that might sound a little bit silly, right? How do you fake being positive? Well, here's the thing. There's been a lot of studies done around the power of smiling. Okay, so University of Kansas did a study. It found that smiling generally, when we smile, tends to reduce stress. Even if we're not meaning it, even if we just force a smile and hold that smile, it tends to reduce stress. And of course, stress is something that can bring us down, can make it difficult to be positive. Now, here's the interesting part. To take it a little bit further, there was a study by another university in Wales that found that people that had Botox injected, such that it created a perma-smile, actually were happier than those people that didn't. So the people that actually could not smile, literally couldn't smile, were happier than those that didn't have the Botox and could frown. Right? So that might sound strange, but it reinforces the point. Sometimes you just have to put on a smile and fake it until you make it. So that's point number 1. All right, point number 2, self-talk. Something we all struggle with is self-talk. Now, the key is obviously positive self-talk. There's a study done by Walden University that found that using statements such as, you've got this, you can do this, you've done this before, these positive type of statements, or some might call them affirmations, are key in trying to not only accomplish and tackle these obstacles or challenges we're facing, but key in being and remaining positive. Now, I'm not suggesting you walk around or stand in front of a mirror like this and say something 10 times over. That's not the point. The point, however, is that when you hear that little voice in the back of your head that tells you something that's not positive, you need to counter it. So what I tell people is set up triggers. When you hear something, when a thought comes to mind that is not positive, you need to catch it. That's the trigger, right? You hear it, you catch it, and you immediately think of something that is the opposite that's positive. So here's an example. Let's assume for a moment that, for me, I do a lot of speaking. So let's say I'm about to go on stage, and let's say it's an audience of 1,000 people. And just for a moment before I step out, I think, oh my gosh, what's my opening? What was my beginning of my speech, right? So negative thought. So the trigger is negative thought. So I would immediately respond with, the story is what I've practiced a number of times. Let's go have some fun, right? Or whatever. Anything that counters that negative thought. And what you're doing is you're training yourself to reduce, you're not going to eliminate, but to reduce that negative self-talk. And by doing so, you're replacing it with positive talk, which in turn will help you be more positive. So try this technique. I think you'll find it works very well. Catch yourself when you hear that little voice saying something negative and say something, at least in your mind or out loud if you can, that is the opposite, that is positive. Hey, if you're enjoying these strategies about how to remain positive, make sure you click the subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all these videos that I release at least one a week. And if you hit the bell, you'll be notified as soon as it comes out, as well as any comments or changes that happen on any of the videos. And by the way, make a comment below for what works for you to remain positive. All right, point number 3, your network. Now, Jim Rohn, if you haven't heard of Jim Rohn, and if you're trying to be more positive, you should look up some of his work. He was a motivational speaker back in the day, wrote a ton of books. He's actually, I think, an early mentor of Tony Robbins, although don't quote me on that. But the key is that he was very much focused on people being and becoming positive. And one of the things he said is that you are the result of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Now, you might agree, and there's been lots of people that have disputed that, but here's the point. We all know that if you spend enough time with someone or some people who are negative, it can bring you down, right? And you yourself can take on some of these characteristics or traits of those people. And it's very hard to push back. If you're the only one in a group of 4 or 5 people that is optimistic and positive, that's a hard, what would you say, that's a hard row. That's an uphill battle. Let's say it's an uphill battle. It's difficult, right? That's the point I want to make. So what you really need to do is think about who you're surrounded with. Now, you might say, Shawn, I'm in a relationship where the other person's negative. Okay, well, you have to make a determination then if that's how you want to live your life or if you need to make changes there. But let's talk more about business. If you're in a job where everybody around you is negative, there are other opportunities, right? Or at least speak to your leader, your boss, somebody about this. Try and find yourself a network of more positive, optimistic people. Because, in my experience, we do take on the characteristics and traits of those we spend the most time with. So if you want to be positive, you have to make sure that network of people that surrounds you are also somewhat positive, right? Doesn't mean everybody has to be as uplifting as you are, but if they're all negative and pessimistic, guaranteed you're going to be the same. All right, point number 4. Actually, this would be 4, right? That's 3. This is 4. All right, point number 4, right, is right foot. Now, I'm not talking about my right foot or your right foot. What I'm talking about is getting your day off on the right foot, starting your day off on the right foot. You know, my mentor often says that there's 2 ways you can really approach each day. You can kind of roll out of the bed and tell yourself, oh my gosh, another day I got to put behind me. Or you can roll out of bed and say, wow, I'm here, I'm alive, it's a great day, let's see what we can make happen, right? Now, those are my words, but you get the point. It really is a choice. It really is a decision we need to make. Now, you could be surrounded by a situation that is not that positive, but it really is up to you as to how you approach each situation. So keep in mind, there are really 2 ways to look at every situation. And most importantly, when you start your day, you want to look at that day in one of 2 ways. And the one I would suggest you look at is the optimistic, which is, here's a new day, you're alive, presumably, if you're watching this video at least, right? You're healthy enough to keep going, to be alive. That's a good thing. What do they say? Another day above ground is a great day, or any day above ground is a great day, right? So there's kind of an optimistic view. So what can we make happen today? Versus the, oh my gosh, I'm tired. I didn't get enough sleep last night. I got this project that's due, right? Those are things that are going to happen regardless. It's really your mindset and how you start off each day. Because if you started off on a negative foot, your day will be negative. If you started off in an optimistic or positive direction or with a statement or thoughts, that's the direction your day is going to go. All right, the 5th point I want to cover off is laughter. Now, here's the key that I want to mention about laughter. There's been plenty of studies done, you've probably read them, about the fact that laughter in and of itself is a way to reduce stress and to help us see the positive that's happening around us. But the key is that we have to control that laughter, meaning that if we're not feeling like we want to laugh, nobody can force us to laugh. But if there are things that typically make you laugh, maybe it's a show like Seinfeld, maybe it's a specific podcast, you need to inject these things in your day to have some laughs, right? Some of us take life way too seriously. And if you really want to be positive, we need to find ways to laugh and relax a little bit, right? There's nothing more difficult about being positive than not being able to laugh at yourself, at others, at situations. And I'm not saying make fun of others, but you get the point. So make sure you include in your day something that makes you laugh. For myself, I listen to Sirius XM in my car, so if I'm driving, sometimes I like to flip over to the comedy channel and just listen to that for a little bit, just enough to make me laugh, which changes my mood. So make sure you're injecting purposefully into your day different points at which you can have a chuckle, have a laugh. Maybe it's a call up a friend, tell a joke, whatever the case is, whatever works for you, because that laughter will help you sustain that positive attitude throughout the day. All right, now if you want to be more positive because you want to sell more, it's going to take more than just a positive attitude to ensure you're successful. So make sure you click the link below. I've included what I call the 30-day sales action planner, which is a free resource you can use to set out your days and include in those days your laughter, the people you're going to surround yourself with, the networks you build, the people you'll call that will help you be positive, but you can actually plan them into your next 30 days, which will help you build these habits around being a more positive person. So grab your copy, no charge, just use that link below. All right, now if you are a positive person, and by the way, if you have strategies to add, make sure you comment below. But if you're already somewhat of a positive person and you're trying to be more influential, maybe you want to sell to bigger companies, make sure you click this link right here so you can learn about how you can sell into big companies and use your positive attitude as a force to be reckoned with. Appreciate you joining me here today, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. We'll talk to you again soon.